Hello, everyone. I hope that all is well. I just want to use this opportunity to go through some basics. I know it has been some time since we engaged ourselves in this kind of questions, but I just want to go back to the basics and check if we can be able to deal with these questions. Okay, so I'm just going to take some few transactions whereby I'm going to check your basics. As you can see here, we have got the transaction number 1. And I want us to make sure that we analyze this so that we can understand the basics. As you know, the basics are of utmost importance. Without wasting time, let's go through this transaction and check if we still remember the basics. Here we have got a business, and we are registering a private company by the name of Silverstish. In the process of registering this company, we issued the revenue stamps of 150, which were on hand. So remember, the most important thing is to identify the 2 accounts involved. Firstly, we know that we are going to register this company by the name of Silverstish. The fact that we're going to register this company, this means that this company will become our client. We are going to bill them for our services. So the fact that they become our client, it means they will owe us, because we have to bill them so that they can pay us. So we know already we've got a company that owes us. So they must give us an account. If you can check now, we issued the revenue stamps. Remember, the revenue stamps on their own, their expenses. But the fact that they were on hand, it means they were part of our assets. They were part of our inventory. So it means at the end of the day, we also have another asset by the name of stamps on hand. Because they were on hand, remember the word on hand makes a difference. It makes it to qualify to be our current asset. So already I know I've got 2 accounts. Firstly, I've got Silverstish Company as our account. And secondly, we've got stamps on hand as our account. So the 2 accounts are revenue stamps on hand and Silverstish business. I think from our past experience, you remember when we are dealing with the books of an attorney, remember, especially when it comes to the correspondence, we normally separate trust transactions from the business transactions. The fact that I wrote Silverstish business, this is the company that we're going to register, is because they are my clients. They will be under my business books. So I must show that they owe me. So it's the same as I said, not credit, debtors in brackets here. I can write debtors or clients in brackets. So in a nutshell, I do have an asset here. Remember, I said because it's on hand, and I also have an asset here because they owe us. So at the end of the day, we need to know how to identify the 2 accounts. Remember from our past experience, immediately after knowing the classification of accounts, we need to check the movement of these accounts. Let's look at the revenue steps. Remember, they were on hand. The fact that we issued them, it means they decreased. So if the revenue stamps have decreased, it means our assets have decreased. So it means we need to show that they are decreasing. Remember, here I'm just analyzing so that by the time when I come and register in this book, at least I know what to record and under which time. Again, what will happen to Silverstish business? Remember, Silverstish business will be part of my clients. It means my clients will be increasing. Debtors will be increasing. So that's why this one will go up. So the importance of understanding the basics. Thereafter, because I've got my movements, it means I am in that better position to go and check the rules. By now, you need to know the rules. Assets decrease. As you can see, they decrease. The rules say, or the rules are saying, assets decrease on the credit side. And then the assets increase on the debit side. So even if you didn't understand the debit here, remember the minute you put credit here, you must always have what? Corresponding debit. We call this double entry system or double entry accounting. So it means that when you debit one account, the other account must be credited. So immediately after analyzing like this, it means now I'm ready to go and record in my books. Remember, the account which is going to be debited must always be recorded first. So that's why when I record here, you can see that I first record what? Sylvester's business. Why? It's because I debited. And obviously, the other account will be credited. Now, this is very much important, guys. I know you know the basics, but sometimes you need to go to basics because sometimes even a man of my caliber, I need to go to the basics just to remind myself about these things. No one is perfect. And remember, in the exam or any assessment, they can also ask you to put what is the narration. Then, like for example, you can say also write the narrations. The narrations is like summarizing these transactions here, so that someone who's going to review our books can understand what happened. So as you can see, there is no formula for that. So this is what I wrote: revenue stamp issued for registration. Now, anything that makes sense as long as it's related to what? To this particular transaction. So as I said, this is called what? A narration. So if they ask you for a narration, please make sure that you write narrations because they will give you a mark for this narration. So this is the analysis of the first account. Okay, let's try the next one. Here we've got the correspondence. Remember, I just randomly came with some questions which are touching on different sections. Okay, so if we can check here for transition number 2, they say our correspondent has given us 3% allowance on fees collected amounting to 5,000 excluding VAT. The amount is vetable at what? At 15%. Remember, sometimes we do have this correspondence whereby we instruct one of the attorneys so that he can represent us or perform our services on our behalf in, let's say, another location. For example, maybe I'm here in Sandton, and therefore I say someone in Pretoria, please, I've got a client, please, can you please perform these services on my behalf? Those are the correspondence. There's a specific section for the correspondence. So, but for now, I just to analyze this correspondence. In other words, this correspondent gave us, after collecting, so they've given us 3% on fees collected. Okay, so it means as correspondent, so we need to make sure that we account for this 3% allowance. Can you see now? Remember, this allowance, obviously we need to know that this allowance at the end of the day is like we build them, they must give us this allowance. Okay, so at the end of the day we need to understand that if you bill this correspondent, at the end of the day it's like they're owing us. Remember, if you owe us, you become our debtor. And at the same time, what are they owing us? They are owing us what? The fees. So we billed for those fees. So it means we need to know, sure that you owe us. At the same time, we need to show that the fees belong to us. And at the same time, we must not forget VAT. Remember, the amount is vetable. So here I expect 3 accounts. I expect a debtor because they owe us. I expect the fees because those fees will become part of our incomes. And I also expect VAT, which will be part of our assets or liabilities depending on the circumstances. Okay, now firstly, the first account that I'm going to have is going to be correspondent business. I think you know by now, when I write this business, it means it's like a client. So this correspondence owes us 3% on that particular allowance. Remember, normally the allowance, if they don't give them to you, is normally 1/3 of what has been collected. But for now, I'm just giving you a basic example. So the correspondent, I write business to show that this correspondent is owing us. It's like we billed them. What are they owing us? They are owing us the fees. Can you see now? So fees again will be part of our accounting books. But remember, these fees are vetable. So if, let's say, for example, you build a client and that fee is vetable, it means at the end of the day that VAT is owed to SARS. So that VAT is going to be called output or input VAT. Okay, but I'm still gonna check on the VAT part of it. Okay, so firstly we've got the correspondent, and the correspondent will be an asset, and secondly I'm gonna have fees as what? As our income. So I think you know the basics, guys. Just go and practice there. Okay, go and practice. And thereafter, We need to check that the correspondent, remember we build them, the assets are increasing, even the fees themselves are increasing at the same time. Obviously, this is accounting. Remember, in accounting, we need to have this balance at the end of the day. So here, for the mere fact that we build our data, we build our client in a way, so it means our assets are going up and the fees are incomes, even the incomes are going up. And again, remember the assets increase on the debit side, and then at the same time, the fees increase on the credit side. That's the basic accounting there. So please go and learn the rules. And thereafter, we must not forget that, remember, this is vettable. In other words, the fees will attract VAT. That VAT belongs to SARS. That's why I wrote output VAT, or you can call it VAT output. So this one will be a liability. Why? Because we are the ones who are going to pay this VAT to SARS, because we received these fees, we received this income. So SARS must be given this output. That's why we say we owe SARS. And again, the liabilities are increasing because we owe SARS. It means the number of our liabilities in the business will increase. And what are the rules are saying about the liabilities? The liabilities increase on the credit side. As you can see, the liabilities increase on the credit side. Okay, so again, after doing this, I'm ready to go and record in this. Remember, the account that is debited must always come first. So what will I do? I'll first put the one that I debited. Can you see now? And thereafter, I'll put the fees, and thereafter, I'll put the output VAT. Can you see now? So in other words, the one that is debited is always recorded first, and thereafter, the ones that are credited will always come thereafter. Okay, but remember, the fee itself is 5,000. Remember, the fees is what belongs to the business. They must always exclude VAT. Already, I know the amount of the fees. So the fees are how much? Are going 5,000 times 3. Remember, they said we collected 5,000, so now we must multiply it by what? By 3%. So it means our fee is going to be how much? 130. Okay, this now is because this amount is excluding VAT. Remember, the fees must always exclude VAT. So if the amount is excluding VAT, it means this is the amount that I'm going to put here. Okay. And thereafter, I will calculate VAT on this amount. Remember, because we are VAT vendors, they said the amount is VATable. So therefore, we are going to take this 130 and multiply it by 15 over 100. We say 15 over 100. Why? Because the amount is excluding VAT. If this amount was including VAT, we're supposed to say times 15 over 115. Okay, so thereafter, can you see how much we got? We got VAT of 22 rand and 50 cents. Therefore, the whole amount inclusive of VAT, meaning a debtor will have to pay us how much? 152.50, 152 rand and 50 cents. Why? We just have to say 130 plus 22 rand 50. All in all, a debtor must give us 152 rand 50 cents, and we'll take 130 as our own, and we'll take 22 rand 50 to SARS. And again, we need to check if the question says we need to calculate, we need to show narrations or not. Okay, so it means if they want a narration, this is how I'll put the narration. Remember, there is no formula for that. 3% allowance on fees. Can you see? This is called a narration. Very easy, guys. Very easy. You just have to follow, and we take it from there. Okay. Thereafter, let's try another one, which is the last one. Here we have got our client Malopi, who currently owes us how much? 3,200. Malopi's trust account has got a balance of 3,000, and the transfer must be effected. I should have said effected, but you understand what I'm saying. Okay, so it means Malopi is our client. That's why he has got a balance in the trust account. So his balance is 3,000, but he currently owes how much? 3,200. This means that we need to make a transfer. Remember, I did talk about the transfers before. You need to know how to transfer. But firstly, remember, a transfer can only take place from business to trust before it goes from the trust bank account to business bank account. But firstly, we need to check we must make sure that we know that. So if you are making a transfer, it means you transfer from the business, and thereafter you go and transfer to what? To the trust. So what we need to have, we must have two accounts. Remember, the two accounts will affect Malope. Let me just put them down. The first account is Malope Trust. Why? Because Malope Trust is where we find the balance. How much does Malope have in the account? Remember, the business owes Malope how much? 3,000. Our business owes Malope 3,000. Our business is an attorney. So an attorney is owing the client how much? 3,000. But at the same time, the attorney billed the client. That's why I need to have another account called what? Malope Business. So Malope Business represent a debtor and Trust represent a creditor. So this means that under Malope Trust, we have got the balance that Malope has, this amount of money. But the minute we bill Malope, we must show it under what? Business. That's why I say the transfer will take place between business and trust at all times. You will see, even if you can check your notes. But remember, I said Malope Trust will be a creditor because we owe them, but Malope Business will always be a debtor. So it means when we classify, Malope Trust will be a liability because we owe them, and then Malope Business will be an asset because this is we transfer what is being owed to us as a business. Can you see now? So it's like a client or a trust client here or a trust creditor here. Can you see now? So a transfer will always be like this. I know sometimes we do these transfers in the form of a general ledger account. By general ledger account, I'm referring to the T account. But again, remember, you must also know how to do the transfer in the journal entries. Okay. So now we have to check the movement. Can you see now? It means obviously this amount of money. Remember, the amount that we have in the trust is how much? Is 3,000. But he owes us how much? 3,200. Remember, we cannot transfer from the trust more than we have. Malope only has 3,000. We can only transfer 3,000 from Malope's trust to the business. In other words, Malope's trust will decrease because we are taking that money. We are doing the transfer. And we take it to what? Malope Business. Can you see that? Again, remember, it's a transfer between the two. Because remember, we are not billing here. We are transferring what we bill. That's why here we are decreasing it because we are doing the transfer. At the end of the day, this transfer will be paid in the form of cash. Are we together? So that's why it will be like this. So we are decreasing the trust. At the same time, we're decreasing the business. But remember, we can only take 3,000 because in the trust, we only have 3,000. Now, if you check the rules, guys, liabilities decrease on the debit side and assets decrease on the credit side. This is all about the rules. Okay, so after doing this, it means I'm ready to go and record. Remember, the account to be debited must always be recorded first. So I'm going to record Malope Trust because it's been debited, and I'm going to credit what? Malope Business because it has been credited. And can you see the reason why I only transfer 3,000 is because Malope has got only 3,000 in his account. Even though he has 3.2, it means we are limited to 3,000. That's why we transfer 3,000. It means in his account, this business account, he still owes us how much? 200. We can only do this transfer in future should we have available balance to transfer. But at the moment, we are limited to what? To 3,000. Okay. And again, if they need you to show the narrations, just say anything that makes sense. Fees transfer, like I said, this is called a narration. Just trying to welcome you. I know some of you know these things, but it's good to go to the basics and understand. So hopefully, guys, this video made the difference, and I hope that you are going to win. And then all the best for your upcoming assessments, and hopefully, guys, this will make sense. Okay, thank you so much, guys. Till we meet again, thank you so much.